Lessons Radio.com.
How's everybody doing out there in Radio Land?
So let me put on some Mack.
I love the way you spit the game to these young brothers and Max out there, man, and tell it how it is, how you dealing with the female.
Let me give y'all some good game.
The devil is for your life. You must order the packers, and you got to order it right.
But I digress.
Well, obviously we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows, he's snatching your people up, trying to rape them, so y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband, cause they raping everybody out here. You don't have to come and confess, we're looking for you, we gon' find you, we gon' find you, so you can run and tell that, run and tell that, run and tell that, homeboy, homeboy. We got your t-shirts and your left fingerprints and all, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
The man got away, leaving behind evidence. I was attacked by some
idiot in the project. So dumb, so dumb, so dumb, so he's climbing in your windows, he's snatching your people up, trying to rape them, so y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband, cause they raping everybody out here. You don't have to come and confess, we're looking for you, we gon' find you, we gon' find you, so you can run and tell that, run and tell that, run and tell that, homeboy, homeboy.
That's the jam right there, man. What's going on, everybody? Let me put on my Mac and music. Welcome to another episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. My name is Mr. Tariq Nasheed. Glad to have everybody tuning in. I'll explain that clip in a minute for those who don't know what that is I just played. But welcome to the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Today's show is brought to you by AutoVroom.com. That's where you can get your car game up. That's where you can get your rims. That's where you can get tires. That's where you can get your whip game on point. Also, today's show is brought to you by SocialNetworkSeduction.com. That's where you can sign up for free and get 6 rules of the dating game. That's SocialNetworkSeduction.com. Again, SocialNetworkSeduction.com. Also, today's show is brought to you by the new Tariq Elite Live in New York DVD. My New York DVD is available right now. You guys go to MackLessons.com and order the brand new DVD, Tariq Elite Live in New York City. For those who missed the New York lecture when I was at the Florence School Theater a few weeks ago, the DVD is great. The game is hot. All my New York players who were there and they wanted a copy of it, you guys can get a copy of that. Tariq Elite Live in New York. The DVD is available right now. It's selling like hotcakes. A lot of people have been buying the DVD all this week. So you guys get your copy right now. And don't forget, Atlanta. Hitting up Atlanta next week. I will be in Atlanta next week. Got a couple of lectures in Atlanta. The big lecture is going to be August 14th. Me, Alexis K. Tyler, hosted by my dude Taz Daddy. Check out Taz Daddy at TazDaddy.com, by the way. You guys get your tickets for the Atlanta lecture at MackLessonsRadio.com or MackLessons.com. The game in Atlanta is going to be hot. I'm going to be on Ricky Smiley's morning show next Wednesday. I got a couple of other radio shows I'm doing out there in Atlanta. So all my Atlanta folks, my media people, hit me up at info@TariqElite.com. I want to thank for everybody also for checking out my new YouTube video I put up of this television program, this thing I'm working on. I put up a little clip of it, The Art of Mackin' TV show. You guys can go to YouTube and type in The Art of Mackin' Tariq Elite, and you can see a clip of this television project I'm working on. Hopefully we get this thing popping off so we can get this Mackish movement all over the world. But I digress. But today's show is going to be a good show. Now, the clip I played earlier, some people might be confused if you don't know about this clip. There was a clip down in Alabama on the news that came out a few days ago, down in Huntsville in particular. And there was a story about this young lady, she lived in the projects, and some crackhead or somebody came up in her window and climbed up in her room, and I think the guy tried to rape the young lady, and that's nothing to joke about. rape and attempted rape is a very serious subject. But they played this clip. They interviewed the young lady who the guy tried to rape, and they interviewed her and her brother. And they live in the projects, and they're so ghetto. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's so over the top ghetto. And the brother, I thought he was just moist, but come to find out the guy's just flaming. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're so ghetto and over the top. The video on YouTube, I think it's like, 4 or 5 million hits already. And I knew that when I saw the video clip. I saw the clip the night that it happened. Somebody from Alabama sent it to me. And I knew that one was going to be a hit. There's a guy named Antoine Dobson. That's the guy who's the star of the clip. I'm going to play a little bit of the clip in a minute. But I knew that clip was going to be a hit. It was just too much of a hot mess. It was so over the top. If you guys go to AntoineDodson.com, look and see what you find. I even registered that name. When I saw the clip, I said, let me register that .com because I know this is about to be a hit. I own the name AntoineDodson.com. I knew right away when I saw it was going to be a hit. And there's dozens and dozens of parody videos and remix videos of this. But let me play some of the original video for those who have not heard it. Because everybody should have heard this by now. It's been all over the net. So hold on one second. This thing is hilarious.
Kelly Dodson was asleep with her little girl inside their apartment on Webster Drive when
I was attacked by some idiot from out here in the projects.
Dodson says her attacker used a garbage can to climb onto the unit's ledge, open the upstairs window, and then he got in bed with her.
He tried to rape me. He tried to pull my clothes off.
Dodson struggled with her attacker, knocking over items in her bedroom. Antoine Dodson heard his sister scream and ran to help.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
The attacker.
So that's the clip. The funniest part to me when he started off, when he said, whelps, this dude put a lisp on the word well. Listen to it.
Well,
This dude said, whelst. Now, how moist do you have to be to put a lisp on the word well?
Well,
This is whelst. You put a lisp on a word that don't even have an S on it.
well, obviously.
Okay, but anyway, but this clip is a hit, and there's a million remixes about the song, and it's freaking hilarious. So you guys check that out. And let me play a little clip of the remix again.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife.
All right, that's enough of that. But like I said, man, that video was a hit. And I think people like the video for different reasons. Because, see, black folks, we look at the video, and yet there is a racial element to it now. Don't think that there's not. And again, I'm not trying to make light of any kind of rape. That's messed up, and that's nothing to laugh at. And that's not the funny part of the video. So the raping or the attempted rape is not the gist of the video. It's the brother who's the star of the show. He's so flaming and over the top, and they're so ghetto. But the thing is, a lot of black folks, we look at it and we laugh at them. We laugh at their actions. But I think a lot of whites, they look at the video and they're laughing at black folks. They think that represents us because that makes a lot of them comfortable in their stereotypes. So I'm just saying, that ain't us. Don't try to lump us all in with that now. Don't do that. But I digress. Anyway, what else is going on in the media? A lot of people have been hitting me up about Lawrence Fishburne's daughter. For those who don't know, Larry Fishburne, his daughter, is doing porn now. Lawrence Fishburne's daughter has gotten into the porn game, and she seems kind of flighty. She seems kind of dingy in the brain. She's basically trying to get into the porn game because she thinks that this is going to be a stepping stone into legitimate Hollywood work. And it just doesn't work like that. She's not even smart enough to know how to put out a sex tape. First of all, number one, Lawrence Fishburne's daughter putting out a sex tape, you're embarrassing your father because your dad is really a respectable brother in Hollywood. So the fact that she would even use his name, because she's definitely using the name Fishburne to get her name out there, doing this scandalous publicity stunt. This is some desperate plea for attention, and a lot of people are saying, was Lawrence Fishburne a good father? Sometimes, man, you have kids that get into this rebellious thing, and there's nothing you can do. You can raise them the best you can raise them, and then they get on into this rebellious stage, and they do all types of stuff, and she's an adult, so sometimes adults make dumb decisions. But we live in a culture of extreme attention whoring. We live in a culture right now where girls are so desperate for some damn attention, they will literally do anything. Girls right now are so desperate to be in the limelight, they will do anything to do it. And we have a society, we have a culture now where we have famous women who are famous for nothing. And a lot of women see that Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton, these women got a lot of publicity by having sex tapes, quote unquote, leaked. These sex tapes, I think, were very strategically planned, but the way they put them out there, you have to be strategic about that as well. See, number one, you can't consciously do a porno, put out the porno, and think you're going to blow up from that. See, at least Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and even Pamela Anderson, they pretended that they didn't know that the tape was going to be out. That's number one. They acted like victims. They played the victim role. Like, oh my God, it was something private between me and my lover, and the tape somehow got leaked by Vivid, and I don't know the lighting. I don't know why the lighting was so great and everything was so clear and the cameras were so high tech, but it was something intimate between me and my spouse and my significant other. And the tape got leaked, and me and Vivid, we came to a financial settlement. Please. Now, for the most part, that's BS. But the way they present it to the public, they have to portray the victim role. They have to make it seem like they were victimized so they can get a pass. That's number one. You can't go out and be like, okay, I'm about to go suck a dick and I want some publicity after I suck this dick. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. And number two, that hustle, the sex tape hustle, it really works for white actresses or white publicity, white personalities in Hollywood. It really doesn't work for women of color. I really wish women of color realize this, because there have been several attempts for women in these publicity, in these reality shows to try to put out sex tapes for publicity stunts. A couple of girls from the Flavor of Love show, they tried to put out sex tapes. They tried to, quote unquote, leak sex tapes, and nothing ever popped off. What's that chick's Hoops from Flavor of Love, and I think the other one, Bucky, they tried to do the sex tape thing. It went nowhere. One of those chicks, the big fat girl from the Bad Girls Club, she tried to leak a damn sex tape. That was a hot mess. Didn't nobody talk about that. People act like they didn't even see that. But the whole sex tape thing doesn't work for the sisters. It just doesn't work. And one of the girls from the Ray J show, Caviar, she's doing full-blown porn now. So the sex tape thing does not work because, see, society already has a stereotype of the over-sexualized young black female. So black women are already sexualized. So if you do a tape, people are like, oh, what else is new? We knew it. We knew she was a slut. Because the image is already sexualized. So, sisters, if you're in Hollywood, don't try to do the sex tape thing. It just doesn't work. You get 15 minutes of fame on a couple of black websites and black blog sites, but that's never a foray into legitimate Hollywood. It's not going to work. You're not going to get a Kim Kardashian type show just because you suck a dick on camera. It just doesn't work for you. Y'all got to try some other hustles. But I digress. But anyway, today's show, I'm going to talk about risks versus rewards in dating. I'm going to talk about risks versus rewards. A lot of times when we do things, and not just in dating, when we do certain things, sometimes people don't look at the risks factor. The risks are not even worth it. The rewards are so minimal, it's not even worth getting into certain things, especially relationships. But I even talked about this to a certain degree in one of my books, Play or Be Played. I talk about the difference between a scam artist and a hustler. The difference between a scam artist and a hustler thinks of ways to make money on a consecutive basis where the risks are minimal. A scam artist makes money where the risks are maximal and the rewards are minimal. For example, a hustler is somebody who will get burnout cell phones. Like they used to do this back in the early 90s. Not the early 90s, the early 2000s. Cats would get these cell phones that you can use for a couple of months, and they would sell them to different people, and they would make a lot of money selling these burnt out cell phones. Now, the reward was good because you made a lot of money, and the risk was minimal because a lot of people couldn't trace those phones back to you. So that was a hustle. And not to justify it, I'm not saying this from a morality standpoint, I'm just saying as far as risk. So the risks were minimal. Now, a scam artist is a dude who will run up in 7-Eleven with a pistol, tie up one person, shoot at another person, pistol whip another person, and then steal $103 out of a cash register, get caught, and do 10 to 15 years in prison. That's a scam artist, and he's a scam artist because the risks outweigh the rewards. It wasn't worth doing that. That's why robberies, those are really crackhead type crimes. Anybody who's doing strong arm robberies, you most likely you're on a crack or you're on heroin or you're on something, meth. Because crimes like that, those are crimes where you don't even think out stuff. Those are emotional crimes. And that's the problem in the game, on the street game. You have a bunch of dudes doing emotional crimes, getting caught up in the game, and you make the block hot by doing that. There's some real dumbass dudes out here trying to get into the hustle game, and a lot of cats can't get into the hustle game. The hustle game ain't for everybody. Guys, your IQ has to be on a certain level. There's some dumbass dudes trying to hustle. When you have dumb dudes trying to hustle, they create risks for everybody because they get out there with their dumbass mentality, bringing unwanted law enforcement attention on everybody. The whole block is hot. Nobody can get money because of these dumbasses. So they put everybody at risk. That's why true hustlers always have to disassociate themselves from scam artists, because they create risks. Even if you don't, you hang around certain people, they will bring unnecessary risks at your door. So you have a bunch of dudes with low IQs, and they got a bunch of homies with low IQs, and they go out here and smoke a blunt, and all of a sudden they think they in Ocean's 11, and they try to pull some convoluted, complex scheme that they can't pull through with a gang of risks. Then they all get caught up, locked down, and they start snitching on everybody. See, I always look at things from a mathematics standpoint. And again, what I'm saying applies not only to dating and relationships, not only to social premises, but it applies to everything. I look at things from a mathematics standpoint. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. You want to make things as simple as possible. You want to avoid any kind of twists, turns, loops, hills, valleys. You want to just go in a straight line and just keep things very simple. You understand that? The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That way you minimize risk. So that's how you should look at certain things. You look at what's the most practical way to get to whatever goal I'm trying to get. If I'm trying to hustle, what's the most practical way I can get my paper without creating all these risks? How can I get to my reward? What's the simplest way to get a reward? And dating is the same way. When you deal with women, how can I deal with a female who don't have drama? How can I deal with a female who doesn't have baggage? How can I deal with females who don't have negative mindsets. How can I get with a female who's on the same wavelength as me? The problem is a lot of you dudes, man, y'all get off on dealing with all those risks. There's a lot of dudes who like all those crazy risks because I think those risks gives these guys a sense of adventure when you're dealing with some of these women. And sometimes the risks are just not worth it. When you date somebody, you have to look what's the benefit to you? Why are you dating this person? See, back in the day when I used to live in South LA, it's called South LA now, but back in the day it was called South Central LA. I would always meet girls, very attractive girls, from an area called the Jungles. That was a running joke with a lot of people that the Jungle had some of the finest girls in LA, but the problem is nobody wanted to date them because you didn't want to go up in the jungles. The Jungle is a very dangerous neighborhood in LA. Black Pea Stone Bloods over there. And I'm cool with those guys. I'm cool with a lot of them over there, but it's not the kind of place you want to go to at night with roses and candy, all right? So even though the women were very cute and the women were very cooperative, I would meet these women. They were very nice, very sweet. But the minute they told me where they lived, I'm like, I'm cool. And then some of them would try to disguise where they live. You say, where do you live? Oh, I live in Baldwin Hills. Oh, really? Where in Baldwin Hills? On King and Exposition? Goodbye. You feel what I'm saying? So the risks would have outweighed the rewards on that. Because when you're on a certain level in the game, you can't take those risks. When you upgrade your game to a certain level, you have to think practically. You got to upgrade from hood rats, even though they're cute, you just can't fuck with them. Speaking of the Jungle in South Central, that actor who used to be on the Steve Harvey show, what's his name? Merlin Santana. Y'all remember him? Merlin Santana got killed not too far from the Jungle, down there in South Central, off Crenshaw. I think it was Victoria Street, somewhere over there, not too far from the Jungle, but it was off Crenshaw. This guy, he's making money on a hit TV show, doing big things, fucking around in the hood. End up getting shot. Man, that broke my heart when that happened. That literally broke my fucking heart. I hated that when that happened. I'm like, why is this man down here with these hood rats? Man, when you're on a certain level in the game, man, you don't take those kind of risks. If you're getting rewards in other parts of life, it's not worth taking any kind of risks, man. But a lot of people do take unnecessary risks when they're dating people. See, the thing is, when you date somebody and you get to a certain level in the game, you don't have to date nobody who's as wealthy as you or who has the same amount of finances as you, because that's kind of hard to find. But you do want to date people who are used to the same social structures that you have. And you don't have to be a millionaire. If you're a guy, you're just doing big things. You're a guy who's trying to do big things. You don't want to deal with somebody who's not. You don't want to date one of these girls up in the projects. See, the thing is, I'm not trying to shit on anybody who's poor. Nobody can help where they're born. But when you're an adult, you control and you can help where you live. You can help and you have control over how you're going to stack your paper. You have control over how you're going to live a lifestyle. You have control over that. I know there's racism. A lot of people say, well, there's racism. Well, you can hustle around racism. That's the card that was dealt. That gives black people their strength, being able to hustle around that. So that's never an excuse. That's why I'm hard on project people. And again, that clip that I played earlier, it's funny because I know how ghetto some of those project people are. Adults in the projects. If you're a kid in the projects, I can't say anything for you because you're a kid, you can't help where you live. But when you become 18, you have the option to get the hell on up out of there. Because those projects, that creates a very negative mindset in people. That creates negative energy. Being around all that brokenness, being around all that poverty, that spirit is very negative and it crushes you. So if you are in the projects, if you are a kid in the projects, get your ass up out of there. And if you are a dude and you got your paper together, don't mess with no female from there. the risks are too great. The risks are not worth the rewards. And a lot of guys, man, I see dudes who will date women in the project with 6 kids. The chick face ain't all that. And I'm like, man, why are you dating her? Well, she got a gang of ass. See, we got a lot of brothers who have that mentality. They don't give a damn what's going on with the woman. She can be raggedy as hell, but if she has a gang of ass, that makes everything better. A gang of ass does not make everything better. You risking your life and your livelihood and your finances over a gang of ass? That's nothing. You got to be more practical than that. You got to be more Mackish than that. You got to be less thirsty than that. Don't be so thirsty to the point where you're going to risk your life. And again, I'm not beating up on black folks because, again, this applies to whites as well. Like Tiger Woods, man. Tiger Woods had his finances together, but Tiger Woods was dating white women that were below his level in the game. You can't do that. That's why these women were dry snitching on him. They were below his social level. He was dating chicks who were like, hell, a high school diploma away from hillbilly white trash. He shouldn't have been dating those women. He should have been upping his game, stepping his game up. When you have paper, you date people within your social construct. You date people within your class because that creates a lot of problems. I was looking at the T.O. show. Terrell Owens, he has a show on VH1, and I saw him on there crying and whining over some plain Jane white chick. I'm like, dude, you on a certain level in the game socially. Why are you whining and crying and acting like a bitch over an average looking chick just because she's white? So this goes both ways. You get with people within your class structure. The thing is, a lot of cats get out here and they start downgrading, and then you put yourself at risk by downgrading. You date people within your class. That way you won't risk losing certain things. Because when you date people below your class, you open up a whole Pandora's box of potentially negative situations. You dig what I'm saying? There was an NBA player recently, Lorenzen Wright. They found him dead, and the police, they're looking at his ex-wife as a suspect now. And his ex-wife looks like a chick who was 2 paychecks away from being a full-fledged hood rat. You understand that? There's another basketball player, Steven Jackson, and I mentioned him last week on the show. His wife, she looked like she might have a little hood rat in her too. She said that somebody came up in the house and tied her up. That story seemed a little flimsy when you look at the details of it. But you have to look at this stuff, man. When fellas, if you're on a certain level in the game, you really have to be careful and not take risk with the people you date. The game is real right now. There's another basketball player down in Atlanta, and when I come to Atlanta, I got a lot to talk about as far as all that tricking down there. There's a basketball player, Joe Johnson. I think he plays for the Hawks. But he just knocked up a stripper. This fool done knocked up a stripper and then moved the stripper in. He done saved her from the pole. I saw pictures of her belly sticking out so far, and she's skinning and grinning from her ear to her ass. Like, thank you for saving me. There's so many captains out here right now, it's ridiculous, and you guys are taking too many risks. You dating some of the most lackluster females, and then you guys wonder and try to figure out why your finances are getting depleted. You wonder why these hood rats done shaped you for your money. You're wondering why they done had you tied up and robbed, because you're taking too many risks dating people that's below your social class structure. You gotta date on a certain level where you're gonna get more rewards than risks. And not just basketball players, not just wealthy people. I'm talking about everybody. This applies to you, players. If you're a dude who works at the post office, you better date you a woman who's on that same social level. Because, hell, the same thing applies. These women will set you up. These women will deplete your finances. These people will get you caught up in the game. You don't want to take risks when you date people, all right? That's my whole point. Anyway, y'all, that's been today's episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Don't forget to go get my new Live in New York DVD at MackLessonsRadio.com. Check me out in Atlanta next week. Get your tickets to join me live in Atlanta. All my players, y'all stop taking risk. Look at the rewards of dating these women. We're going to keep it real Mackish. We're going to keep it PI till we DI. I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I'll be broadcasting live in Atlanta. The next show will be live in Atlanta. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.